It's quite a ridiculous situation here in London. We've said for months that Parliament is broken. Well, quite literally so, because at this end of the building, the House of Commons end, a water pipe burst in the ceiling of the chamber itself and water started to flood down. There was speculation for a while that it was actually a sewage pipe, but it's been clarified it's just a water one, thank goodness. But what it has meant is that the sitting has been suspended all day whilst they try to fix it, and so the government hasn't yet been able to table its business, which could cause some delays next week if there needs to be any votes. So some serious repercussions there. And then at this end of the building here, the House of Lords, well, that is an unelected upper house. It's meant to kind of scrutinise legislation but not block the will of the House of Commons. Well, at the moment they're trying to filibuster the vote got through last night by just one vote on Yvette Cooper's bill to try and rule out a no-deal Brexit. So quite literally here at Parliament the roof's falling in and everything's just not working quite right.
Indeed, well, that's a very accurate update of what's going on there as well as outside. But, you know, the Labour Party or Labour MPs have been written a letter, we understand, to Jeremy Corbyn, urging him to compromise if this could avoid Britain having to stand for the EU elections. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, this was written by 25 Labour MPs who all come from quite strong Brexit seats. So people like Caroline Flint, who've even voted for Theresa May's deal. Around 5 Labour MPs on the third reading voted for it. And they are MPs who know the maths in their own constituencies. They know how strongly they voted for Brexit. And what these MPs are willing the Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn, to do is make sure that he does actually work with the Prime Minister to come up with a solution to make sure there isn't a long delay to Brexit, which could turn into a never Brexit situation. They need him to put aside his prejudices towards Theresa May, to work constructively with her. So we'll see over the next couple of days whether or not those teams can come to some sort of agreement. Yesterday the response was mixed, with the Prime Minister putting out a statement via her spokesperson saying that the meeting had been constructive and that there were open minds, whereas Jeremy Corbyn in his interview said he thought the Prime Minister was still too wedded to her red lines. And that's something we've heard about her before in her previous meetings with opposition figures, that she just wouldn't listen to them, and now really is the time to do that as the clock ticks down to Brexit on the 12th of April.
So, Vincent, when can we expect the next, big instalment to happen in this ongoing drama?
Well, what the two leaders need to do over the next couple of days, because their MPs have already voiced their disquiet at the fact that they're talking on the Conservative side. They had that really impassioned intervention yesterday when one of their backbenchers got up and said the Prime Minister's described Jeremy Corbyn as someone not fit to lead this country and dangerous, but yet he can help you deliver Brexit. And there have been instances around the country, people tweeting themselves, cutting up their Conservative Party membership cards because they're so annoyed at the Prime Minister for working with Jeremy Corbyn. That is how divided things are in the UK. And on the other side, Jeremy Corbyn's supporters, people like the Momentum group that brought him into power as Labour leader, very unhappy to see him sort of sitting around the table with the Prime Minister. Now, what the two leaders have got to do over the next couple of days, obviously that clock is ticking down to the EU Council meeting on the 10th, where they need to go with some fresh ideas in order to get an extension so we don't crash out on the 12th. They need, though, to do a very carefully choreographed dance. They need to look like they're really hammering it out with each other over the days, talking late into the night, so that when they do come out together and say, we've come up with an idea, that it looks like for both their supporters that they really have battled to get the best Brexit possible.